I'm Soledad O'Brien. Welcome to Matter of Fact. President Trump's policy of separating children from their parents at the U.S.-Mexico border did not survive in the court of public opinion. And his new policy to keep families together may not survive in a court of law. He's keeping his zero-tolerance policy intact and wants the Department of Homeland Security to pursue criminal charges against anyone who crosses the border illegally. The executive order aims to keep entire families in detention centers indefinitely as their cases wind through a long court process. That's a practice that judges have barred under previous administrations. There's already a backlog of 700,000 cases in the immigration courts. Former immigration judge Paul Wickham-Schmidt joins us to take a look at how this could all play out. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, my pleasure. Okay, so a lot to get to. First of all, when somebody who is trying to come into the country presents at the border, either they decide they're going to illegally cross into the border or they're going to present themselves for amnesty. What are the options for Border Patrol?
Well, when somebody comes to a port of entry, they're supposed to have papers, either papers showing they're a U.S. citizen, papers showing that they're a foreign national who has a visa, papers showing that they're a green card holder or coming back as a student. If they have no papers and they appear to be foreign nationals, not U.S. citizens, then they can be summarily excluded, summarily ordered removed by the inspector, the CBP inspector. However, the inspector is supposed to ask.
Customs and Border Patrol.
Yeah, right, but they're supposed to ask before executing that order, is there any reason that you fear return? And if the person says, yes, I can't go back, I'm afraid, then they're supposed to be referred to a different office.
So that puts them in a different category. Right. Now, theoretically, they can go and ask for asylum. Right. How did things change in April? Well,
in April, the Attorney General decided for the first time, well, I can't say this. Other administrations have tried it. It's always been a failure. But as a deterrent, he decided to prosecute everybody who crossed the border outside of a port of entry. There is a crime of illegal entry, but for the first offense is a misdemeanor, minor crime. And for most of our history, people, particularly if it's their first time, haven't been prosecuted for misdemeanor.
So the reason the children are being separated is that you have to have a dual path because of the Flores Agreement.
Right.
Children can't have that same path that adults have.
Well, and the children aren't being charged with the crime, so they can't be placed in criminal detention. You're right. The children go into the immigration system right away, while the parents don't get to the immigration system until they've gone through court. So,
which brings us to the Flores Agreement, which people have been talking a lot about. So the Flores Agreement said that children cannot...
It's a court order. It was a stipulation, but it's a court order.
But children can't be held indefinitely.
Yeah, children can't, not only can't they be held indefinitely, they can only be held for 20 days, and they're only supposed to be held in facilities that are licensed and suitable for child detention.
So how long, potentially, could a family be in detention while they wait for their case to be
determined? Well, a detained asylum case, based on my experience, can take anywhere from, in Arlington, it was probably from 6 months to 2 years if it goes all the way to the appellate courts and sometimes comes back. You can't possibly have a fair asylum hearing for somebody in 20 days.
Sometimes I think when listening to these conversations around the people who are trying to enter the country, especially those who have an asylum claim or think they have an asylum claim, is that they're all criminals, it's illegal, but there are actually legal protections.
The law says that an individual arriving at the border, port of entry in the United States, regardless of whether they have any legal status or not, has a right to apply for asylum. Now, what they shouldn't be doing is entering the country without going to a point of inspection.
I was about to ask
that. But that doesn't deprive them of their right to apply for asylum.
So that's my question. So how do you think this proceeds? I mean, will this go into family detention now?
Well, what do I think will happen? I think if the federal courts have backbone, they'll stand up, they'll put an end to this. Flores protects fundamental rights of the youngest and most vulnerable. Not only shouldn't it be changed by law, it should be enacted into law so that no future administration is allowed to carry on these types of grotesque human rights abuses.
Judge Paul Schmidt, it's so nice to have you in to give us an explainer and walk me through this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.